Call to order the Tuesday, January 8th, 2019 meeting of the Coastside County Water District Board of Directors. Joanne, could you please call the roll?
Of course. Director Reynolds?
Yes.
Vice President Michelson?
Yes.
Director Feldman?
Here.
Director Glassberg?
Here.
President Coverdell?
Here. And Chris, could you lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
Absolutely. Okay, tight quartered here, but.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen. Thank you. And now we will entertain public comment. Are there any members of the public that would like to address the board? Hearing none. I'm actually going to jump a little ahead in this special order of business with my prerogative.
Oh, your president is already abusing your powers.
Isn't it crazy? And wait till I start tweeting. So it was an old tradition in the Coastside County Water District that we present the past presidents with some type of recognition for the quality of the work that they have done for us. And so it's my honor to present this plaque to our past president, Bob Feldman, in recognition of your leadership and dedication to the goals and missions of the district during your term as president, December 2017 to December 2018. And I wanted to make sure you knew that oftentimes there will be a wooden gavel, but I thought it would be really important to make sure that there was a gavel of distinction.
Yeah, right.
You were a gold medal president. So thank you for your wonderful service.
This one will really make a lot of noise
Yeah.
when I beat it on the table, huh?
Because you have to turn
Well,
it was late.
That was the point. We made sure it was firmly attached.
Yeah, right. And I have to hit the hole, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Oh, I'm sorry. Here's a carrying. Thank you for your service. And next on the agenda, it gives me pleasure to have our district attorney swear in our two newly appointed directors, Robert Feldman and Chris Michelson. So could you guys take your oath of office, please?
Please stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
Hi, Chris Michelson.
Feldman,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservations
or purpose of evasion,
or
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
All right.
Great job. Thank you, Patrick. Glad to see both arms are working again. And next agenda item is our consent calendar. Are there any items that any of the board members would like to pull from the calendar?
Yeah, I just, I hate L, that's one I never really like, so just quick discussion on L if we could.
Okay, and so we'll go ahead and do that. I reviewed the claims this month, and I found the petty cash statement and the credit card statement and the claims to be in order. So would you like to comment on item L?
Do we want to vote to pass the consent order?
Is this going to hold it up? your
Okay.
discussion?
And so, it did creep up again. I know we had some low years, we're at 4s, 7s, 4 again, 13,000 in bad debts. It's not as bad as when nurserymen's really took it to us, but It's cost of doing business, I guess.
If I may say, it's like 0.1% of revenue.
Yeah, no,
Our rev-
relative to revenues, yeah, no, I absolutely understand that. It's just,
Yeah, I saw it online.
at least this year, I didn't recognize any of the names.
Oh, that's
In years past, I have known some of the names.
You've been hanging out with better crowds.
Yeah, so maybe that could very well be. Eddie, I just, I hate to see it, and I hope there's, bad juju out there for whoever does that to us, or bad karma, and does it ultimately, do we sell them off to collection agencies,
Yes.
so these will show up?
These will go to collection.
They will go to
agency.
collection, and the collection agency gives them bad marks on their FICO score.
Yes.
Okay, good. I don't want them to get away with it. Thank you.
Any other input?
So I was curious on the same subject, how come somebody is listed twice for, there are a couple people that repeat on this list, and I was just, so Charles Taylor, I think, was it Charles? So there are a couple people, Donna Foote shows up twice, and there was another person who showed up twice, and I was just curious why.
They have two accounts, both their domestic service and their fire service.
Oh, I see, okay, that answers it.
And the bigger ones, I mean, I see names associated, those were residential accounts?
Right. Yes. Large bills.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
so like the 1,600, did it take, is that just one cycle, or is that multiple cycles?
I think the top two were really one cycle. They were high bills.
Okay. All right, so we are getting them in a timely
Yeah,
fashion.
right.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if, okay, all right, okay. Cool, thank you.
Move to approve the consent calendar?
Okay.
I'll second it.
So it's been moved by Director Glassberg and seconded by Director Reynolds that we approve the consent calendar as presented. Could you call the roll, please?
Yes. Director Reynolds?
Yes.
Vice President Michelson?
Yes.
Director Feldman?
Yes.
Director Glassberg?
Yes.
President Coverdell?
Yes. Thank you. And next item 6 is meetings attended or director comments. Do you have any? Do you have any? Well, I was standing at 9,500 feet about 7 hours ago, and I can tell you that top of the Sierra is loaded with snow. And it's fresh, it's, seems to be quite wet. I think snow level is about 7,000, so it's a really wet snow. And so I'm hoping that 67% average snowpack has climbed up radically over this weekend, because it just snowed like I've never seen for the last 4 days. And that's all I have. Item 7, general business, contract with EKI Environmental and Water for capital project management support. And I see that we have representatives from EKI. Welcome. Nice to see you again.
Nice to be here.
We've seen you often,
Yeah. Nice
so
to be
welcome
here.
back, except for your associate.
Yeah, this is Taylor Allen. Taylor's been with us a year and a half, so, and she's doing a lot of it. She's literally doing the work. Never been to a board meeting, so she's really impressed very much.
Okay.
The bar's not very high then.
Well, we haven't even started the singing and dancing yet, Taylor, so I want to tell you, it gets better.
So I thought it'd be great, because we are, working with your capital improvement projects, and look forward to a good relationship. So thank you.
Thank you. And Dave, do you want to take it away?
Sure. As we've discussed with the board on a couple of past occasions, we lack a genuine district engineering function. We've always relied on outside engineering firms. And we have been trying for the last couple of years to come to an arrangement that preserves the advantage the district gets from using a diversity of engineering firms while giving us some continuity in what would otherwise be a district engineering function. That's become especially important as I've reduced my time, because I've been pretty involved in the capital improvement program. You may recall that in July of, I think it was 2017, we brought Juban Pakpur here. We had kind of thought that we kind of identified his firm as one that could help us with that. And they're technically very competent. clearly one of the requirements for a consultant who's going to help us on a continuing basis with implementing the CIP is that they get along well with the board. And for whatever reason, I think it was probably our fault on the staff side, we didn't, POCPOR did not hit it off with the board in that meeting. That didn't take away our interest in or the need for the kind of engineering support that we've been talking to EKI about. We began talking with EKI in October about a number of things. One was our district hydraulic model, which we tried to find a home for. It went to Kennedy Jenks, and then that person went to West Yost, and West Yost did a little bit of work for us. So we've been looking for someone to help us with that. The other thing we did was we sat down and we looked at our CIP program for the next 3 years and the next 5 years, and we're always thinking of the Feldman factor. And even though last year, for the uninitiated, the Feldman factor is the ratio of capital money actually spent to capital money budgeted, and in a good year in the past, it's been about 0.6. So, and we know that it's very important to the board that we execute the capital projects that we have in the plan, that we've included in our rate study, and that you over the last few years have consistently funded the capital improvement program, which really drives our rate. So we know that it's very important to the district and to this board that we actually do these capital projects. And we're now in a position where, I heard the comments about our high rates. I think it's important, I think the board realizes it's important to our customers as well that we keep up the district's infrastructure, and that's what the capital improvement program is all about. So we sat down, we looked at our capital improvement program, and we really said, wow, we've got $14 million worth of projects to execute over the next 3 fiscal years. We're already pretty much through fiscal 19. How are we going to do this? We just don't have, our limitation really has been the lack of that technical function within the district staff. We need help to organize and track and drive these projects. And that's what we started talking to EKI about. We've had very good working relationship with the EKI over the last several years. Probably about 8 years ago was when he started working for the district. We think that EKI has been very responsive. When we called them up and said, hey, we want to talk about this, I think we had a meeting the next day. They're close to us. They really meet a lot of the criteria we have in mind for this kind of a support firm. They're small, they're local, they're really responsive. So we began talking to them, and we have kind of put together a management approach for our CIP that has EKI helping us organize and schedule the projects, keep us on track in terms of all the steps that need to happen for these projects to be constructed, starting from planning. I mean, we have a few simple projects, and we're going to kind of try to push those up front so we can get them done. We have some others that are much more involved in terms of planning and permitting and design and just deciding how we're going to do them. So we asked EKI to help us with that, and we've had a number of meetings with them that have resulted in kind of the joint production. Mostly EKI has done most of the work of a much more detailed schedule. We're still working on it, so we didn't present it tonight. I think we're going to be working with the Facilities Committee, and we'll be back to the board, I think probably around April, with a reorganization of our approach to implementing our capital projects that fits within the funding that the board has approved, but may look a little bit different from the CIP we presented when we looked at the budget, with the idea that you've set the rates to fund these projects, we really ought to get them done. So that's what we're driving for, and that's what EKI is going to help us with. So we're here tonight with this proposal from EKI for support in implementing our capital improvement program. It's a time and materials contract, so they will charge us, basically by the hour. We started them in October with a $25,000 contract under the general manager's authority, and we're here for an authorization to increase that budget by $40,000. I expect this will be an ongoing effort that will cost, on the management support, will cost on the order of $150,000 a year, something like 10 to 50, on the order of $15,000 a month for the engineering and management support. This is not a program to funnel all of our engineering work to EKI. They're going to help us. They may do some of the engineering themselves, and Steve could probably address that as well. They will be responsible for our hydraulic model. They have that expertise. But they're also going to help us hire other engineers with the expertise that we need to do some of these projects. So in some cases, they may be doing the design for us. I think Jim Teeter will continue to do what he's been doing, which is designing small pipeline projects. He's pretty cost effective at that, but that's a pretty small part of our overall program. What we really need is somebody to help us organize like the environmental studies and the fish and wildlife permitting and and complying with San Francisco's requirements, things like that we really need to get done in order to build these projects that we have a budget for. So that's what we're here to get your approval for tonight, and any feedback you might want to give us, any questions you have for us or EKI. And with that, do you have anything you want to?
Here to answer questions, just to be, hopefully make you more comfortable if you're not already. I've been doing this a long time for various districts and the like, shepherding through from financial to permitting to hiring an engineer to overseeing that engineering firm, doing the job on time, on budget. And I think that's what I'd like to add to the district staff. They take making the district go day to day takes a lot of work. And the capital improvement projects kind of always, typically, frankly, get left behind because there's just not enough staff time to get it done. And sometimes just not enough staff you can even find to do it. And we enjoy working here. We've been a part of this for a while. I think our proximity in Burlingame to here, we go a half hour, 40 minutes in traffic. And what I enjoy, frankly, as a senior level now, John Sutter, who I think you might, tall guy, has been here. He and Taylor are going to be doing a lot of the work, and I'm overseeing. I'm vice president of the firm. And one of the things that I enjoy is you accumulate a lot of information and expertise in the School of Hard Knocks, and I have graduated from there a couple times, failed a couple times, and graduated from there a couple times. And with that perspective, I think it helps us do things efficiently. I mean, it still costs money, but efficiently. And also, like, working with you to anticipate what's going to happen, what's going forward. I mean, permitting, okay, well, if we're going to get a coastal commission permit, well, we got to allow enough time in the schedule, those kinds of things. And that's what we've been working on, the schedule for that. Tank projects, when we step back and look at them, maybe we should do a structural analysis, subject to your approval, structural analysis of all the tanks before we start painting them. See what, will help. The hydraulic model will help decide, can we leave those tanks at a lower level and still meet our demands? And, vary that as seasons go. So those kinds of questions, and then we're just familiar.
Yeah. Mr. Tarantino, can you just identify yourself? We know who you are, but for the TV audience, please.
Hi, I'm Steve Tarantino. I'm vice president with EKI, Environment and Water, and we have our office works in Burlingame, among other places.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, yes.
I have a question, Steve.
Yeah.
The 40K, what's the period for that? It's no time, I mean, it's time and materials, but what do you
Yeah.
think? It's 3 months?
I think that,
2.5, 3, 4 months? I'm just trying to get a
Yeah.
rough idea.
yeah,
There's no
Steve and I,
time stamp on
Steve and
it.
I were talking about that today. I asked him to be ready to answer that question.
Good.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's called anticipation.
Yeah.
Yeah, you called it. 2.5 months, depending on how.
So it's about 50K a month, and
We
so
think
that's.
through February. I think the effort is front-loaded. I mean, they're spending some time
Right.
to get organized up front and become more familiar with all our projects.
Right.
So I think we decided that the 40,000 will last through February,
Yeah.
something like
Yeah,
that.
through February.
But our run rate will be on the order of, I think, longer term, will be on the order of 10 to 15,000 a month.
The value of the 92 pipeline, they were involved in that one? The Highway 92?
Not the evaluation.
No, the work, what was the
Well,
cost for that?
Highway,
I'm just trying to remember what how much.
Highway 1 South?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
How much did that go
They
for?
charged us, well, they prepared the project documents, which is a little bit different from this. scope.
Right, no, I understand. I'm
Yeah,
just trying to
About
get-
25,000, I
And-
think,
Was
right?
it that much?
I think it was 25.
And you've done work for us in the past, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And a
So they-
number of things. I'm just trying to
Yeah,
get people up to speed that they're a long-term
Right.
Done
provider
a
of
number of
services.
construction management projects. They,
Well, Dennis did all the.
Denniston,
they.
you've done a
did-
number of projects for us. I
Yes,
mean,
we
over
have.
time. So you know the district.
We do know the district.
No, I'm just trying to
Right. and
get
we're
their
familiar-
credentials out on the
We're
table.
familiar with
Yeah.
water issues throughout the Bay,
Right.
I mean, throughout the state, frankly, but I mean, throughout the Bay Area,
Yeah.
sensitivities to reduction of flows out of the Tuolumne, right? Or
So-
increase the flows out of Tuolumne, those kinds of things. Right.
Glenn and I had some.
Increase will never happen.
Huh? No, not it.
Glenn and I had an inkling about this at our last facilities meeting when Dave and Jim talked about the need to do a better job of planning for and executing capital projects, because we haven't always got that Feldman factor up high enough. We knew that. And so this was an approach that they were going to propose, and it's come quicker than I thought we were going to see it, but I guess it's here. Now, I looked through the thing, and anything we can do to ensure that the rates we charge our customers provide funds that we actually use to do the jobs that we had committed to do is a step in the right direction, because it's important that we show the public and the community that the money they're paying
Right.
is actually going to good use in a timely manner. Now, I mean, that's my philosophical view of all of this. So I'd be one of the first to say, it's important that we figure out how to put these together in a way that we can actually pull it off and get the Feldman factor up to 0.75, or maybe 0.8 each year, or something significant so that we actually are taking advantage of the rates that we're charging to the public. Now, but I look at this as the old saw, which was, you got to spend money to make money. In this case, the saw is you got to spend money to spend money,
Yeah.
basically. And
Spend
so
money
I
to
think
spend.
that's what we're saying here. I mean, unless I'm reading this wrong, we have to spend some money to be able to figure out how to spend the money that we have to spend to meet the objectives that we've put down on the table. And so, you know, I don't like to necessarily overdo it with consulting and stuff, but I don't know if there's going to be another way for us to get a good organized approach to doing the things we have to do, since we have so many of them to do. And even in the facilities committee, we're always trying to figure out how do you stage and get these done in a rational manner, because they're different, they're all over the place, some of them are just placeholders and some of them are real. So I think it's worth giving it the old college try and seeing if this makes a difference. And the way we'll know is when that Feldman factor gets driven up this
Okay.
year or next year, or
Just
whatever year.
learned the
Is that a
goal of our
good? Is that a
project.
good goal?
That's a great goal.
Huh?
0.75.
0.75.
Don't
That's-
overcommit.
Yeah, yeah, no, I was going to put a qualifier in.
I know, because right now, we're not meeting that we're not meeting the objective by a mile this year. I think it's way down, so,
And
I'm
Dr.
sorry.
Reynolds, you have?
Yeah, as Bob said, we did talk about this committee, and I think this is an excellent approach. And one of the things that I think the board should consider is that we are being fairly flexible as a organization to try different methods of managing our capital improvement projects to be as efficient and cost-effective as possible. And so I think that our hiring EKI is an evolution of our working and evolving to do capital improvements better as a small agency. And so I think this is a good plan with an excellent firm that's well presented and comes across very well. So that's my endorsement.
Thank you. So now that we have a metric, you already did maybe potentially overcommit yourself to 0.75.
Oh, yeah.
I would certainly like to see,
Committed, Taylor.
I'd like to see that metric applied and come back to us, because this
Sure.
is, we're gonna burn through, this 40,000 every couple months or something
Yeah,
like
right,
that.
right.
I'm all for this, because certainly, 0.6 is dismal. We need to, however, bigger question I do have is, having been here as long as I have, I've seen, recessions, what's the bidding environment looking like right now? I mean, being as infrastructure is typically the front end of development, is it slowing down at all, or?
Especially in facilities like these, pipelines and the like, it's tough at the moment. But you have a benefit here. You have two local contractors who, want to take care of you, and because they're local. And that helps the bidding environment here, per se. But things like, putting in a new pipe for the 12-inch along Highway 92, that's going to take just a bigger effort, I think. And it'll also take time. So what we're looking to do is speed up things that can be sped up right now and do things. We were looking at some of the simpler ones, like Pillar Cedars Creek, a pipeline replacement project, has a number of things that San Francisco wants to see, and then they want everything back so they can make sure you're doing it. So we want to start that now, right? Start the steps so that you can get going. So we have a couple of those. Starting the things for the pipeline across the creek, Cherry, I don't have it right. What is it, Dave?
The Burger King footbridge pipeline?
Yeah, footbridge, yeah, is that what we're gonna, yeah, Burger King footbridge. Anyway, the footbridge pipeline, which, Jim Teeter's designed. By the way, I actually worked with Jim at Kennedy when I was closer to her age.
That's like in the 40s or something.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, thank you. Flattery will get you everywhere, believe me. So it, so we can use his, but things have to be added. And that's how we're going to go about this. Writing RFPs, we do that as a routine, help with the selection process with district staff, that kind of thing. I think the district engaged in a very creative approach to the Highway 1 South pipeline installation. I think the staff really worked at it, and I think about a month, right? It got done. Yeah, from the time we got called to the time it was finished, it was about a month, maybe 6 weeks. And that,
It worked well.
Yeah, it worked well. Not quite up to the Feldman factor yet, but,
So this year, we're running at about 0.3,
oh,
halfway
there we
through
go.
the year. So to hold you to
Optimistically
0.75
Yeah.
is really not a reasonable, but what are you willing to?
What am I willing to do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for June.
Wow.
What number, you've
So-
been looking at us for a while, you've been looking at what's on the table, you see
Yeah.
so what's the?
Here's what's occurring to me as we're talking about the Feldman factor. Is it money spent or money started to be, money spent?
Money spent.
Yeah.
Money spent.
Yeah.
Well, that will govern what we do then, because there are a few things we could start.
Well, I'm just asking,
Well, I think
we need to ramp it up
It's
for
really
the rest of the year.
projects in the ground that
Right.
we want.
Yeah, that's really
that
what
we-
you want.
And the weather's not so great, so there's a lot of factors, I understand.
So what I envision is that we're definitely going to be way off for fiscal 19. We know
Yeah,
that
right,
now
yeah.
because, this year has gone by. So we want to come back and say, well, here are the projects that we had in our CIP, and particularly the ones in the first 5 years, and we're focused on fiscal 20 and fiscal 21 to maximize our construction in fiscal '20 and '21. So what can we do this fiscal year to really build those projects in '20 and '21 and
Just
try to
kind
hit
of-
that, about $14 million is what we budgeted through fiscal '21. We're gonna have some catching up to do in '20 and '21, but that's our goal. And we'll be back in April to say, here's
Okay.
our reorganized
just-
schedule and
Yeah.
approach.
Arnie, did you have any comments you wanted to make?
Just one question.
We're not gonna hit .75, I'm sorry, we're not gonna hit .75 this year.
Oh, no, I knew that.
Okay.
I said,
You gotta-
what's possible, that's all, like .5? No, I was just trying to get a
Yeah,
different
right.
number for the rest of the year.
That's, yeah,
I know there's only 6 months, I'm saying, I know you can't do 7.5 this year, I understand.
yeah, right.
But what do you think you could pull off this year? .5, maybe half of it?
In the
hard.
ground, what's making me uncertain.
Sure.
And I'm with you.
That's not a fair question for.
I know, I know.
Yeah, it isn't, but, but I'm willing to try, a
Okay.
little bit.
All right.
Okay? Is that in the ground's a different story. When we looked at all these projects, they all have startup, right? And startup takes us to summer for most of them,
Right.
right?
Right.
And maybe we could get creative and do something and actually
Right.
get some going. But I'm with Dave
Right.
on the 2021.
No, I understand.
Okay, so let's let Arnie make some
I'm sorry.
comments. okay?
Yeah.
I just
think
have one
Arnie has the
question.
floor. It's really fun kind of rolling around, but I think
Yeah.
Arnie's up.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The work that, as I understand it from reading your letter, is that the work is mainly front-end work up through bid award. Do you do any contract management
Sure.
while the actual work is going on? Is
Yeah,
that
it-
anticipated for them as well, Dave?
They've done a great job of construction management on a number of projects for us, so, I would expect that that's something that we could look to them for. But our goal is to get these projects done, and if we need to hire somebody else to do it, or if it makes sense to hire, if we
Right.
need different expertise, this arrangement allows us to go out and get that expertise with EKI's help. But I think, I think the example of the Highway 1 South project is a good one. They were so responsive. We called them up and we had project documents ready in, I think, a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it was great.
That
It was
that
very
allowed us
cooperative
to
environment.
do that as an emergency project and in a way that protected the district's interests. And I mean, that was a great project, and it came in at like a third of what we had originally budgeted it. It's all working fine now. So, I think in some cases they will, we've talked about that, and I think we'll work it out as we go along. This is not a program to give all of our engineering work to EKI. It's
Right.
and in some ways, EKI is working in the district's interests, and they're always working in their own interests, but this is really.
Yeah, right.
This isn't a program, we've talked about that, this is not, now EKI gets all our design work. We want to find, we want to make this program really go, and that's going to, depending on EKI's resources and their skills, they may not be the best firm to design some of these things.
Especially if we
Well,
get a few
and-
projects going at once.
And I'd like to add some comment. Are you finished? Yeah. So I'd like to say that for 25 years, I've really wanted the district to get an in-house engineer. So I can tell you that you're going to be in a little bit of a horse race
That's
in
fine.
my department.
Okay.
Compared to how much would it cost for us to have someone sitting in an office, getting to know the district, helping us operate,
Sure.
helping us to run capital improvement projects, and how does that cost compare and that service compare to outside service?
Sure.
And that's not to be rude, I'm not trying to be, be problematic, but I want to tell you that that's something that I've always felt would be an advantage, because we're an aging district. There are going to be a lot of people who are going to step away and retire probably in the next few years. And we're going to need to have somebody who can grab the helm of the district and continue the great leadership and great, staffing that we've had over the years. And in-house engineering with, capacity, with training and education and experience will be very valuable. Doesn't mean that an outside firm couldn't provide that. So that's what I'm hoping to see. I'm hoping
Sure.
to see some reason that it's better to have you guys,
Well,
running around
absolutely.
taking care
And
of the
that-
projects.
That'll be our
and some
goal,
of the-
certainly, to do that. However, it's also our goal, and this is, only because I'm old, I can say this, because I know it's true, is that, you know, sometimes we work our ways out of a job, right? And that's the goal. That's the way it works. And we move on because we just value doing what's important to you as well as what, you know, we have our own goals too. But I've learned that when we marry our goal of having a business, good relations, with your goal of getting things done, when we get those two things in sync, it's really nice for everyone, regardless if it winds up you hire somebody to be the district engineer or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, I
So-
appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And so, do you want to entertain a motion here? Should we move something positively forward?
I'll make a, let me read the resolution so I don't get it wrong.
Staff report, not resolution.
Oh, sorry. Our recommendation, so I don't really.
No, that's it.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion that we authorize the general manager to retain the professional services of EKI, Environmental and Water EKI, for capital project management support with an initial time and materials budget of $40,000.
I'll second it.
It's been moved by Director Reynolds and seconded by Director Feldman that I'm not going to read the whole program again, authorize this $40,000 initial startup work with you guys. All those in favor, would you roll call, please?
Yes.
Aye.
Director Reynolds, Vice President Michelson?
Yes.
Director Feldman?
Yes.
Director Glassberg?
Aye.
President Coverdale?
Aye. So it's unanimously approved, and we're looking forward to working with you guys, and
Right.
love to see a great game plan right away.
We're on it. We're getting on it.
And there's
We're on
plenty
it.
of rain, so you'll have to
Yeah.
stay in the office for a while.
Yeah, that's right. Nobody can go outside. Yeah. Well, thank you all very much.
Oh, I'm
We look
sorry.
forward to it.
Thank you.
No,
I
that's
think
okay. My question's for Dave,
Oh,
so.
okay, great.
I was just wondering.
Thank you.
Why you chose to come for 40,000 when we fully expect that it's going to be more than that over the next 6 months of the rest of the fiscal year? Why you chose this rather than a number that would get us through the fiscal year? In other words, why are you going to have to keep coming back? Is that just for us to be more informed, or is this specific project
I think
related?
it's really important. Well, I thought this conversation tonight was going to be important for us. We talked to the facilities committee about it, but I don't know that we sold this concept to the board. And I think we'll have to get both at the staff level and the board level, we'll have to get comfortable with it, and coming back for further authorization is a good way to do that.
Okay.
That's the big advantage of hiring a consultant over hiring a position. You know, I've been aware for years of President Coverdale's desire to have a district engineer. And I said, you know, if I could have anything I want a financial person. And that's been great for the district. But we still have the need for that function. But, you know, from my standpoint, we could hire a district engineer. The cost of that position would be on the order of $250,000 a year. But we can't hire somebody for $250,000 a year with Steve Tarantino's experience or the breadth of resources and experience that their firm brings. So that, you know, that's, you know, ultimately we might decide to have a district engineer. But while we don't, I think this is a really good solution for us. So, and that's a long-winded answer to your question. I'm very comfortable coming back again, and I think it'd be good to have the board revisit this conversation and make sure that we're, you know, that it's meeting everybody's objectives.
Yeah, great. So, thank you very much. Appreciate you coming to the meeting. Looking forward to working with you guys, and
Right.
you're welcome to hang out if you want to, but if you feel,
Not that interesting.
Thank you for that.
we'll understand.
We're getting
Goes a
back
long way,
videos
a whole
of these
way.
meetings, so
Yeah.
there's no end to studying the board's tie selections and.
Yeah, things like that. That's
Yeah.
right. Thank you very much.
Oh, no, we appreciate your help. You guys have done a great job
That's
for a long
great.
time.
That's it. Part of the team. Here we go.
Yes.
Right? Thank you.
Thank
Yes.
you.
All right. See you later.
Hey, here.
Item B is the approval of resolution number 2019-01, approving the amendments to the water supply agreement between the city and county of San Francisco and the wholesale customers in Alameda, San Mateo County, and Santa Clara County. And are you going to take this one away?
Mary's done most of the work
Mary,
about it, and
great.
is prepared to address it.
So one of, BOSCA's key priorities this year was to push through some amendments to our 2009 water supply agreement. So they have, they've representing the wholesale customers, they have been negotiating with the SFPUC, for a good part of the year. In August, you approved BOSCA to negotiate on our behalf. So they've been working on these amendments, and that they felt are really important to establish, fairness between the wholesale customers and the retail customers. And we think they've done, a tremendous job in their negotiations. So basically the amendments, there are 7 amendments. There are 4 that were put forth by BOSCA and 3 by SFPUC. I'll say, the amendments are, BOSCA wanted to have some CIP oversight of the SFPUC, PUC CIP. And so they have some, they have a more formalized approach toward reviewing the CIP. The Second Amendment addresses the Tier 1 drought plan. Over the years, with the changes in use of water between retail and wholesale, the drought allocation plan actually would, with the current calculations, it would cause a positive allocation to the retail customers in the drought at the expense of the wholesale customers. So basically, this amendment will not allow for a positive allocation, and the retail customers would have to take some kind of a reduction as well as the wholesale customers. The Third Amendment was just changing, putting off SFPUC's decision on making Santa Clara and San Jose permanent customers. So that's pushed off till 2028. And the Fourth Amendment that BOSCA wanted was that they've been working on, they wanted to get some policies in place surrounding the classification of SFPUC's assets. They wanted to make sure that classifications weren't changed from power to water. They wanted to have some fairness in that, so that we're all, sharing sharing in the expenses according, to what our use is. So, so these were BOSCA's amendments. SFPUC, they wanted some, theirs were a little bit more administrative. They had some, they do want some new processes on how CIP-related costs are reconciled to the budget. They wanted to make sure that the WISP completion date was changed. It was in I think, 2018, and they wanted it to be moved to 2021. And they also had, they needed some language associated with the regional groundwater storage and recovery project that's up in Daly City. They wanted an operating agreement. So, with this, BOSCA has completed negotiations, and again, we think they've done a great job with protecting our interests and really with the intention of being fair. Keeping the, keeping in mind our interests as wholesale customers. So we would recommend that you approve the resolution.
Comments from the board?
Yeah, as your BOSCA representative, I mean, Mary, you did touch on the high points. Certainly, the drought allocation Now San Francisco will actually have to take a hit. So there was certainly a fairness issue there. So that was a huge change, I think. Should we really go into mandatory drought, that will be very, very important for us. And then the other one was, I know we fought long, we still to this day catch SFPUC playing asset allocation games. They can either go power, water, or joint. And, when they're talking, tens of millions of dollars, and they can kind of fudge something onto our side, onto the water side when it's joint or potentially all power. We shouldn't share in that cost. So Bosca has done a really great job, watching out for us. I mean, as a watchdog agency. So that's kind of where our dues go to be a member of Bosco. So this to me, it represents the good work, some of the good work. We also, a lot of legal too, with the challenging the Bay of Delta plans and things like that. But this one has a direct impact on our customers, and money well spent being a member of Bosco is my feeling. Thank you.
Other comments, motion?
Mary, did you, the amendment document's not a walk in the park,
No.
as all of these aren't. And so I commend you for, how shall I say it, summarizing this in, I think, 3 pages, if that's what you did. And even that was not,
That could be Patrick.
who did it?
Well,
You?
Bosca provided some of it, we edited it,
Oh,
and we had some
This 3-page thing.
Yeah, Mary and I had some discussion about what we should present to the board. And
Yeah.
I actually went back and looked at what we'd done in 2009, how we had presented the water supply agreement.
Okay,
It's amazingly detailed and complex, and the package that Bosca provided us, I think, ran 400 pages.
Oh, my God.
And we said, well, what's important to our
Right,
board of
okay.
directors? And I think Director Michelson gave a really good summary of it, and that is that Bosca,
Thank you.
working with Hanson Bridget,
I was going to ask who the Louis
has
do.
done just an excellent job of exactly what we formed Bosca to do, which is to represent our interests with the city and county of San Francisco, starting with the 2009 agreement, continuing through these complicated amendment
Right.
processes. And they've done it in a way that benefits all of the wholesale agencies, and they've been just incredibly careful to do it in a way that doesn't advantage or disadvantage any wholesale customer with respect to any other wholesale customers. Big challenge for Bosca, but we don't understand all these details, but we have a lot of confidence in the work that Bosca and Hanson Bridget have done on this agreement. And I think our representation, from what we've looked at to the board, is that you should have the same kind of confidence in the work that Bosca and Hanson Bridget have done in representing our interests. So you're right, it's not a walk in the park. And we're paying for Bosca and Hanson Bridget, to understand this intimately and to, spend months literally negotiating these things with San Francisco. And the administration, a lot of these amendments have grown out of Bosca's work in administering the contract. They have, maybe 3 years ago, we authorized Bosca to negotiate with San Francisco on our behalf some of these asset allocation issues that came up. So they really go through everything that San Francisco PUC does with a fine-tooth comb and look at it from our standpoint and take issue with what SFPUC does if it's not fair. So, and the other comment, finally, in terms of, just commenting about the work that Bosca does for us, I think starting with Art Jensen and I guess it was it Ed Harrington at that time, starting with Art Jensen and continuing with Nicole Sankula, they've done a great job of building a relationship with San Francisco where both parties are committed to fairness and equity in this relationship. We wholesale customers pay for 2/3 of the system. We don't have a vote. So we really depend on that, relationship. And I just think they've done a great job of, and this amendment process has been sort of a testament to that good relationship. It's gone pretty easily, and really has come out with something that both sides wanted.
So this is, the summary is the template that they gave you?
Right.
Okay, and then the little piece that we have is only a very small portion of the entire agreement. That's,
Yeah, those are,
okay. And then the agreement, the resolution for us that we
Yes.
are doing, who developed that guy?
well, that was a template that Bosca provided
Okay.
and that we reviewed and edited.
Okay, so this is, again, a template, the actual resolution that
Yes.
we sign, you sign.
Right.
you sign, is something they provide for us to
Yes.
use as our boilerplate and reviewed by our council, et cetera, et cetera. I also wanted to mention that we have very strong affiliation with Bosca, not to leave that in the lurch, that our representation there has been very strong in helping to achieve some of the things I think that we see coming from that organization. I mean, Chris has been our voice over a long number of years in terms of making our voice heard, and I think he's done a great job.
Thank
And I think that this is just another example of the fact that we have that kind of, I think, clout in a way, if you can have that as one of 45 agencies, I think.
Yeah, we go way back.
And we got to know the untreated
We
water.
were among
thing,
the
et cetera.
agencies that formed the BAWA.
Bawa, yeah, well, I was on Bawa.
So I think,
Bob Rathborn, the general manager, was the president of BAWA.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
wow.
He really-
I think it reflects,
BAWA.
it reflects
It was
our,
BAWA before it was Bosca.
I think it reflects our ability to participate strongly in the organization, and the results bear witness to the fact that that's been very worthwhile.
So then you must be in support of this and you'd like to make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion. Do I have to read this one?
No, we know what we're talking about.
I'll make a motion.
Oh, yeah, you can read it, that'd be good.
Approval of the 2018 amendments to the water supply agreement with the city and county of San.
Oh, now skip that
Wrong
and
one.
read that. There you go.
Approve resolution number 2019-01,
That's
a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Coastside County Water District approving amendments to the water supply agreement between the city and county of San Francisco and wholesale customers in Alameda County, San Mateo County, and Santa Clara County.
correct.
Second.
And a second. So it's been moved by Director Feldman, seconded by Director Glassberg, that we approve resolution number 2019-01. Could we have a roll call vote, please, Joanne?
Director
Yes.
Reynolds, Vice President
Yes.
Michelson, Director Feldman.
Yes.
Director Glassberg.
Aye.
President Coverdell.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for the active work on Bosca. Thanks for
Thank you.
keeping us right in there.
Yeah.
So item C is our quarterly financial report, and I know that this will be Mary leading the charge. So, Mary, if you could take it away, please.
Okay, so we are halfway through the year, and we actually went almost halfway through the year without a lot of rain, which impacted our financials, but now I hope we're on a better track. Our year-to-date revenue was slightly higher than budget, by about $200,000 due to higher water sales earlier in the first quarter. We're pretty much, the same as we're staying kind of steady as we were to last year. Our year-to-date expenses are $340,000 over budget, primarily due to the fact that we've had to purchase water from San Francisco, and we haven't been able to use Denniston. So that hit us by $613,000. So and we had some cost savings in other areas, but we're hoping that now going forward we'll be on local sources. And then we had we had our year-to-date loan payments are $50,000 less than budget because we refinanced. So, we're below, below budget, but, hopefully moving forward with using Denniston, we'll get back on track.
Comments? Comments?
Is the ERAF refund a certain time of year that we get that? Is
We'll
why
get that
it's
in
zero?
January. Well, they're changing some of the timing, but yes, we get that the second half of the year.
So it'll appear in
Yeah.
the next quarterly.
Yeah.
And also, I noticed water taken from hydrants went up significantly. I'm wondering what that was.
Well, we
Any
have more
particular
construction.
reason? Ah.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Hearing no other comments. Item D, Coastside County Water District Board Committees. So I started kind of laying out some committee suggestions, and somebody made copies, thank you very much. So can I pass these around? And it looks to me like there are a couple of people really carrying the load of this committee deal. Mary, do you have one? Joanne, do you need that?
Oh, is this
So these are our subcommittees. Finance,
new or proposed?
proposed.
Oh, okay.
Here's the old one, if you want to compare
The
them.
old one's in the board packet, behind the report.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, we-
17 years later, I get
We're working you, man.
to facilities?
We're working you, man.
Oh, my God. In a short 17 years.
Well, it's only if you're willing. Oh, don't you remember when you and Larimer did the cleanup out there at Denniston? All the scrap metal? and-
Oh,
Do you
yes.
remember all
Oh,
this?
the
Do you remember
archery.
that stuff? The archery range?
Archery
Whoops, we don't
range.
talk about that. Anyway, these are suggestions, and so I would appreciate
Wow.
if you would look at them and see if you don't just feel incredibly overworked.
Jeez Louise, I mean.
Yeah, look at them. And then, yeah, you're gonna be a happy day.
You either like me or you really don't like me. I'm not quite sure which it is.
Well, I'm so concerned about assassination, I figured if I kept you busy, you wouldn't have time to make any arrangements.
Holy shamoly.
But here's what I would like to say. You notice that we have something we're going to realize in item F. And what that means is we don't have as many bodies yet to put onto these committees
Right.
because we're one person short. So certainly, this is going to get revised, we hope soon, as we add another person. This is one thing I'd like to discuss with you guys, though, and that is, I really feel like we as a district are kind of isolated. And I think that it's unfortunate in many ways because there are other special districts that we're involved with, that we interact with all the time. And that's something I'd really like to see, maybe as another standing committee, is some kind of an outreach committee, where we reach out to the other special districts and try to build our relationships.
So, do you want?
Yeah, please. Oh, yeah.
So I don't go to a lot of group meetings, but I did go diligently to the special districts meeting.
Okay.
And I found less commonality there than I do at the Cal Nevada American Water Works Association, because there the focus is water, whereas a special district, there's it's such a diversity of special districts that really what applies to us is more things like embezzlement, financial accountability. Well, I mean, they're important topics, don't get me wrong, they're super important, but they seemed like areas that we have a really good team and policy set up for.
Yeah.
So
I'm not being very specific because I'm talking about Montera, I'm talking about Granada, I'm talking about Sam. I mean, our local special districts.
I will back you 100% in going and attending those meetings.
But that's what I'd like to think about as another committee, potentially.
Wow.
And so we're not going to make that decision today, but I would like next meeting to discuss the standing committees, think about what we're going to do in terms of how we're going to, fill these committees. And I'd like to talk about one additional committee, which would be kind of like an ambassadorship, I guess you might call it. But I would like to have an ambassador or a committee of ambassadors to see if we can open some relationships and maybe accomplish some things that are mutually beneficial. So this is really for review. And please give me your input. When you look at there and you're on 7 subcommittees, you might come back and say no.
Well, I mean, looking closer, I mean, certainly, well, I am with you on working with you, the other districts. I mean, I think there's issues that need to be worked out before we can work with
That's what I heard.
the other districts. And certainly there's the lawsuit unknowns. I mean,
Yes.
I don't think any infrastructure, anything done with another district isn't going to happen until they resolve their lawsuits.
Yes.
And I don't know if there's a timeline.
Well, and again, that's why one of the committees that I put myself on was external organizations, and I plan to attend LAFCO.
And I think
try to
that's
get some
great
kind
idea.
of a handle
Yeah,
on what's
perfect.
going on with
Perfect.
LAFCO. And really discuss with LAFCO, what's your mission, what's your plan, and so these are just, it's something that I would like us to think about and come back next meeting and really make it solid and go forward. And hopefully if there are any needs for these standing committees prior to next month's meeting, these assignments, I hope you would just accept
Absolutely.
as
Thank you.
being, sort of your marching orders, and we'll take care of any needs the district staff may have, and then we'll come back and solidify.
No, thank you very much. Thank
You
you.
know. And your name was easy to spell, so.
Yeah, it must have been.
Can I just ask a question, have a
Please.
clarification? So if I understood what you said, Mr. President, is that while these committee appointments on here are under review, if there is a need for any of these committees to meet between now and the next board meeting, that these would be your temporary appointments, but they will be discussed again at the
Please.
February board meeting.
Please.
And then another thing, and you're also going to discuss at the future board meeting, a possible new standing committee. And it would be great if you all think about the advisory committees as well, because one of the things about advisory committees is they are intended to be temporary because they're not subject to the Brown Act requirements. And so we need to revisit the purpose of those advisory committees periodically, and it's good to do it annually at this time. And so when you come back and discuss it, you can say, yes, there's still a need for these advisory committees, and here's why. Or there's no longer a need and they will be disbanded, and if they're disbanded, they can be formed again at a future time. But that's the difference between a standing committee and advisory committee is standing committees are subject to the Brown Act. They're created by either by subject matter, consistent meetings, or by direction of the board. And whereas advisory committees are not, and they're not subject to the Brown Act. It's an important distinction because advisory committees can be converted into standing committees if they're around for a long period of time and just have a continuing purpose. So if you could do that at the next boarding, that would be terrific as well.
Yeah,
Thanks for the
great.
clarification. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very
That was
much.
very helpful. A suggestion I might make is that if we were to change the tenor of the recycled water committee to perhaps be an advisory committee looking at our long-range water options as opposed to just recycling, and I would be delighted to pursue that.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that would, if, that modification does sound good, because there may be other sources of water other than recycled water. So
It'd be a
maybe we-
holistic approach.
Yeah, maybe we make this a little broader. Yeah, that's great. Thank you for that.
Well, that's why one of the things I wasn't sure of is, we've had this committee, the Montero Water and Sanitary Mutual Interest Committee, for example. I think that has to be a separate committee. If we were talking about other water sources, would it still be okay to have an overlap of one member on that committee? I don't really know.
You can, if as long as the committees again, this staff report does a really good job of summarizing the purposes of all the committees, standing and advisory. And as you take a look at the purposes of these and what you want to do going forward, you can certainly have overlapping members in these different committees, for sure,
Great.
whether they're standing or
Change that to
advisory.
alternate sources.
Okay.
Something like that, because certainly recycling is an alternate source,
Well, I was just worried that, for example, if one of the members of the recycle water, which is now alternate water sources, let's say that we go that direction, and that person is meeting with one other member of the board, and then
Oh.
goes to the next meeting where they're talking about water in that other place, with a different member of the board, that's sort of a serial meeting. I mean, I don't know, I'm not the,
But in the advisory, it's not, at the advisory level, is that not an issue?
So your president is correct to be careful that you can't have serial meetings with three board members. And you don't run that risk for your standing committees because those are subject to the Brown Act.
right.
But what you're saying is if you have these different advisory committees that aren't subject to the Brown Act, and there's a serial meeting within there because the topic is the same, then you need to be careful about that. So again, the purposes of these committees are really important as you set them up and determine whether there's still a need for them.
That's why I have a little bit of a fear
I
of the
could give up,
rewording.
I could give up Montero meetings.
Yeah, but that's the one that I think.
I know,
we're
that's-
really the best at.
And again, if you look at the purposes and there's no overlap, then you don't run that risk.
Correct, yeah. So I really appreciate that input. And again, rather than having this be the final conversation about the standing and the advisory committees, I wanted to introduce my thoughts so we could operate in case we needed to have these committees operate. But that I wanted to make sure you knew that I think this will really get more resolved. My opinion is next month, if that's ever, fine with everyone. We'll have more time to talk about it. Because I'd like the committees to be active in some of these other areas. And so I think having a little time to think about it and come up with a good game plan is a good way to go.
I'm
With
in.
your permission.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And so the next item is the appointment of CCWD Board Member Representative Alternates to participate in the San Mateo Local Agency Formation Commission, LAFCO. So basically what this is we just state that every one of the members of our board will be an alternate to LAFCO.
Yeah, that was historical. That was, it actually did come into play more than once in that there's a LAFCO meeting and on Tuesday night, next Tuesday, and our chair doesn't sit empty. So that's a great idea to have all five of us given the authority to represent.
And do we need to pass this to vote on this, right?
Yes.
So do I have a motion with regard to?
Sure. I move that, what am I moving here? That the,
You're moving
that
around, I
all,
think.
oh, that's it. That all four, that the board president is our standing member of LAFCO, and that the other four board members are alternates at San Mateo Local Agency Formation Commission.
Thank you.
Did that do it, Patrick?
If that works, I'll second that.
They're actually participants in this, so they're two special district members of LAFCO who are appointed by the Special District Selection Committee. The Special District Selection Committee is comprised of the presiding officers of the special district. So I think our board president is automatically on the Special District Selection Committee. And when we take this action, we designate all of our other directors to be an alternate for our president on the Special District Selection Committee if our president isn't available. And I think that they go by order of, technically by order of seniority.
They have to be referenced by name.
So the LAFCO wants us to take this action each year and to provide the minutes that identify each of these folks by name.
I think that's what I said, isn't that what I
Yes,
said?
that's what you said.
That's what I said, okay.
But
does-
they're not
he
on
needs-
LAFCO, you're not
Right.
on LAFCO.
No,
you're
you
on the
just-
Selection
It's
committee.
not a committee, you're not on it, no,
Okay.
no.
Right. But do we need to mention each board member's name?
Yes.
Is that what you just
In
said?
the minutes.
Okay, but you'll take care
And
of
then I
that.
provide the
Take care of
minutes
the
to that.
seniority, right?
You're really efficient at that. Okay, so I have a motion from Director Glassberg.
I'll second it.
It was seconded by Director
Oh,
Michelson.
sorry, I apologize.
And you don't have to apologize. We could have double seconds.
I could
can't we?
third it.
Patrick, it's like an enthusiastic second, right? So roll call, please.
Yes.
Mr. Reynolds, Vice President Michelson.
Yes.
Director Feldman.
Yes.
Director Glassberg.
Aye.
President Coverdell.
Yes, thank you. And now, it brings me to item F, which I'm not excited about.
Nor am I.
I vote we reject this.
Yeah.
And so we've received a letter, I've received a letter, the district's received a letter, that Director Glassberg is going to be moving out of our district. And so, because he's an honorable and honest member of the United States and California and Coastside County Water District, he's notified us. And so he will be creating a vacancy on our board. I'm going to really miss Arnie. When he was first, came and was going to be interested in the board, and we talked to him, and I don't really know, like, who's Arnie, I don't really know him, and is he a good guy? But having seen all the things that he volunteers for, like ACT in the city, which I think is fantastic, he sits on the board of directors there. He's just a really active, knowledgeable, experienced, and he's been a wonderful addition, I think, to our board. He has a great understanding for public policy and how decisions are made, has a great understanding of budgeting and how you run finance and run numbers in an operation like a special district. I've known him to be fair and honest and forthright, and absent a lot because he loves to travel. But you can't fault somebody for that. That means he brings a lot of international experience. So I'd like to thank you for letting me work with you on the board of directors during your tenure here. I, for one, will miss you.
Thank you.
I will certainly second all of that, and, when I found out that you were a retired school superintendent, that just spoke volumes about the expertise and knowledge that you would bring to this board, and I wasn't wrong. You were a perfect fit, and you asked tough financial questions, which fiscally, being a conservative myself, I really liked that. I liked having your fiscal support, and we should be, and it's not our money. It's our customers' money. We should be asking tough questions, and I always enjoyed your tough questions. And I really, really thank you for your time here. It was a real joy working next to you. Thank you.
I would say that it's been a real pleasure having you on the board, and I've always found your questions engaging, helpful, and you filled an area of expertise that was very valued and showed in your thoughtful questions, so you will be missed.
Excuse me. One thing for sure, time flies, because you've been on the board now, I guess, for 5 years. That's how fast
Wow.
time flies. It's hard to know.
Yeah. I was going to ask. I didn't think it was that long.
I have mixed feelings, as usual, about this type of thing. One is this sadness at losing a good man from a team that works really well together, and having to face that, but then at the same time being happy for the individual being able to follow his heart and his life and go where he wishes to be and do the things he wants to do, which I think is important as well. So if there are three things that represent Arnie, at least in my view, is one that he is a very articulate individual. He articulates well, and you get to understand what he means, and he says it in a way that catches your attention. Two, he's a man of integrity. He says what he believes. He tries to show why he feels the things he feels, and he has a strong sense of what is proper and right for the community and for the individuals here in our environment. And finally, he's a very professional individual. I found him to be very professional in his interaction with me and with the other people on the board, and I think with the community in general, and certainly he's going to be a great loss to the organization, and we wish him well. I wish him well on his future endeavors.
Thank you very much. I expect somebody to throw dirt over me at any moment.
No,
At the risk of going on and on. Thank you all. I mean, this has been a really incredible experience for me. I worked in a lot of public agencies throughout both Southern and Northern California, and have really only found two that have functioned really based on the purpose of a public agency, which is to serve the community rather than one's own political needs or one's own personal needs. And that was the last school district I worked for in Coastside County. I've been amazed how different we all are, and yet how each one of us brings something important to the board, and how at no time in the 5 years that I've been here have I ever felt that anybody's comments were meant in any way other than what's best for this community in which we all have lived. So and I have learned so much. Who knew when you retired that you could start a whole new career about something you know nothing about? And I remember that interview again, and one of the questions that was asked is, what do we do well? And I'm thinking, I don't know what they do well. And I turn on the water in the morning and it comes out every day. And I think that was my answer to the question that was asked. I thought, well, there went that opportunity to serve the community. So it's been a real honor to be a part of this. I've learned so much, and working with all of you and the staff here is just, I worked for one school district that was a little like Mayberry. And that's kind of how I feel we are here in this organization, is everybody has such a commitment to the community that they serve, and the efficiency and the work that's done here is amazing for the small staff that we actually have. So just thank all of you for the opportunity, and I'm going to miss all of you, and I'm certainly going to miss this district, and on to finding something new.
thank you.
Well, yeah,
So there, just.
we have some real things we have to do. with
Right,
regard to
so there are two prongs to this agenda item. One is the
Thank you.
resignation of Director Glassberg. The other is consideration of the process to filling the vacancy. And I just want to pause here for a moment, because there's a nuance in the law that says, in a California Attorney General opinion that interprets this provision of law, that says if a director resigns and he's here before the effective date of his resignation, he or she cannot participate in the discussion about how to fill the vacancy.
Correct.
So I wanted to point that out right now. There's no requirement to leave the room, but it is something that I just wanted to be clear that Director Glassberg cannot participate in this next prong of this agenda item.
I'll sit back and point and laugh.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, try not to roll your eyes, because in the ethics training that I took,
Yeah.
rolling your eyes can
Rolling
be,
is bad.
Some kind of subtle, and no texting, your phone's off, right?
In my pocket.
No, I'm just kidding. So anyway, this is a complicated set of questions for us, right? Because we've got to decide, do we want the vacancy to be filled by appointment or by election? And so we're going to discuss that. If it's going to be filled by appointment, we've got to get staff to go post the required notice of the vacancy and specify what to include in the notice. So would you like to review that further, or should we go ahead? We can just discuss it,
Let's
right?
go for appointment.
Huh?
I'll discuss. I vote we go for appointment.
Did you want to make a comment? That was,
I think the board, given that the resignation, Director Glassberg's resignation is effective January 31st, and I've outlined the key dates in the staff report, the board has some time to work on this. The key decision tonight is whether you're going to fill the vacancy by appointment. That's something you can do by, that decision you can make by motion, and then you can just direct the staff to issue the notice of vacancy. In the past, Our notice of vacancy this will be the fourth time we've been through this exercise, 2012, 2013, 2016. We issue a very simple notice of vacancy that says anybody interested in being on the Water District Board should submit a statement of interest and qualifications. And it's your prerogative to expand on that if there's something specific you want to ask for that we could put in the notice of vacancy. We can do that. Otherwise, tomorrow we'll issue the notice of vacancy. We've generally allowed about 2 weeks for people to submit their statements. I figured we'd go till June 25th, I think it was. That's a Friday, so a little.
January.
I'm sorry, January 25th, that's a Friday. And then at your regular meeting, what you did the last time, which I thought worked well, what was, and this is just an option, you said, let's issue the notice of vacancy, and then we'll request that the board president and vice president review any submittals we receive and come back to the board and recommend the next steps. So you have a lot of, as Patrick Miyake's memo points out, you have a lot of flexibility in defining the process you want to follow. First time we went through it in 2012, we followed a pretty formal procedure and interviewed a lot of people. The last time we did it in 2016, I think we got 10 statements of interest. The president and vice president reviewed the statements and recommended to the board that one of the applicants, now Director Feldman, be appointed. So there weren't any, we didn't do any interviews. So you have that flexibility. But the next step, assuming that you decide to fill the vacancy by appointment tonight, is for us to issue the notice of vacancy. And by the February meeting, we would have whatever statements of interest.
Great. I didn't mean to interrupt you, I'm sorry.
No.
I wanted to apologize. Sorry.
I'd make a motion that we select a replacement by appointment versus an election.
It certainly makes economic sense in that we just had an election cycle and.
And they're expensive.
Yeah, and they're very, very.
expensive.
Yeah.
They cost
Bob and
a
I
lot of
saved,
money.
how much did we save the district?
25K?
Yeah. So, and yes, so I'm,
No, it's,
I mean, in that, in having, how many, this will be my fourth appointment then, I
Yeah,
guess.
it's the fourth
Yeah,
one.
so,
To the fourth, since I've been here. It's the
yeah,
fourth.
so
So
Oh,
is
yeah,
that
well,
yours? Are
I was
you
gonna say,
seconding
you've
the
been
motion?
here.
yeah, what I'm saying
there
is.
was
I-
one other one before you were here, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, I may be at
2006.
five.
So there was really one more.
Yeah, I think, so I'm with Director Reynolds.
I think my time is of the essence in replacing and filling the board again. We need the full 5 people here to do the work we have to do, and I think there's really no choice but to track it on the fast track, which is the appointment track in my view, because you go to elections, it's a lot more time-consuming and complex, I believe, also. Again, last time, all the paper was sent in and reviewed by the president and vice president. I wasn't involved in it, so I didn't know that. And so it was felt that was a more efficient manner to do this. I'm just, do the other directors get to see the paperwork on the candidates, but not?
It allowed
discussed?
a screening process, so
Yeah,
in other
no, I
words,
understand.
we kind of consolidated it, and it was almost like it went to committee, and then they brought that forward to the rest of the team. And
Whatever
I found
works.
it very efficient
Whatever
and
works.
found it a good policy,
I
or a
think
good
that's-
procedure.
I think that's up to the board. It's up to the.
We get to make that up.
It's up to the president and vice
Do it
president.
any way we
and-
want to.
And
Yeah.
you could do it. as-
I'm flexible. I always enjoy having a chance to understand who the folks are who are interested.
Mhm.
And if it's all screened, then the final person comes up, you never get to see the full breadth of interest in the
So
people.
you'd like to see.
Well,
all the
at
people
least,
who apply.
I'm not sure, I'm not saying I have to be a part of the.
I have no
final-
problem, I think, I have no problem having everyone read the letters of submission, and then we can filter through them, and
Yeah.
if you found someone you felt.
No,
well,
I just,
certainly-
I'm not trying to
we'll
change the
certainly listen.
process,
Well, I
I'm just.
think when we had the public meeting, the second time around, we had all of the submittals in the public agenda package. So all of the statements of interest and qualification were presented to the board at that meeting.
Okay?
And the board at that meeting had the option, had all of the options on the table. The president and vice president made a recommendation.
Oh, okay, so you get to see everything.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, it answers my question.
Right.
In other words, the part, this information is available to be seen, and then you decide how do you want to pursue the final
Yeah.
selection, is that correct?
Yeah, you just
I didn't remember how.
You just want to be careful about discussing that.
No, I
So
understand.
that, you know, I mean, it's about the communication outside the meeting.
Right.
Right? So
Okay.
it's not about you looking at it and reading it, but, you know, if we bump into each other at
No, I
the store, and
understand.
then, you know, I mean, you bump
But that's
into
the way it
Reynolds or
worked in the past, right? You had them all in the public.
But I think that's fine. I think if they all come in and that gives us a chance to meet, we'll review it, we'll come in, tell you what we think, if that's acceptable with everyone. And then in the public meeting, we can discuss it, make a selection, and make an appointment at that meeting. I think that's great.
You
I-
can, let's say, we'll bring it back at the February meeting.
Right.
You'll have all of the statements of interest.
Right.
I think it'll be a little bit different from last time, because last time you had Director Feldman, who'd already been on the board and had been appointed to the board once before, so clearly was very different from all of the other candidates, but you may have a different situation this time. You can decide at the February
Okay,
meeting
that
that you
answers my
want to
question.
conduct interviews like you did a few
Yeah,
years in
that answers my
2012.
question, sure.
And you can do that either at a special meeting or at your March regular meeting.
I see.
And
Okay.
you'll still have plenty of time to
So
make
we
the
decide when
appointment
we
by
see
April
the
1st.
February information and come
Sure.
to, how do we want to pursue the next step? That's fine.
That's correct.
That was my concern, just now.
So is there further discussion, or should we move on the motion? So it's been moved by Director Reynolds and seconded by Director Michelson that we fill the vacancy in the board by appointment.
Right,
That we direct staff to
go forward.
issue a notice of the vacancy, and that we collect in a 2-week period, did you say January 25th?
January 25th.
Collect the stuff on January, the people who are interested on January 25th, and then have a chance to review and make a decision in the February board meeting
As to next steps.
The next steps.
as the next steps?
And one of your options would be to make the appointment right then.
Okay. So roll call, was there too much wording on that,
I
or?
don't think there's.
Yes.
Yes, too
Vice
much
President
wording.
Michelson,
Yes.
Director Feldman,
Yes,
and President Coverdell.
Yes.
And the
Abstain.
record will reflect that Director Glassberg abstained, did not participate in the discussion.
okay.
So next on the agenda,
That's really good news.
my page 2 of my agenda ran away. Can I use yours? Oh, here it is. I got it, thanks. And now, we've all been waiting for the Assistant General Manager's report.
And I am very pleased to report that we heard from DWR last week, and
They issued all
our
the officials
Half
on
Moon
the
Bay
website.
Terrace Basin has again been reclassified to a very low priority basin from a very high priority.
I love it.
This reclassification was the result of data and comments that we and other agencies in our basin submitted in August. So there are basically two factors that helped convince DWR to reclassify us. One is that part of the data that we presented is we showed that we use we had much lower groundwater usage than what they had estimated. And what happened, we'd worked with RCD and reviewing the crop map, and also looked at our other data, and so that was convincing to them. In addition, they also decided to look at take a different approach on the wells. We have a lot of wells that we've reported the secondary MCLs on over the years, and we've kept as active, but we really don't use. And so they actually use fewer of the wells to look at water quality. And so we fell off the chart on that, on that criteria for, their, looking at points. So, and the other basins, actually, the San Mateo, Plain, and West Side basins also, they were reclassified to very low priority for the same reason. So it's good news. It saves us millions of dollars in setting up a groundwater agency.
A lot of resources.
We still need to be cognizant of our groundwater and being good stewards of our groundwater, but we're not subject to the requirements of SGMA.
Yeah.
Great work.
I don't even know how we can thank you as a water district for the effort on this. I mean, it's just fantastic.
That's about hip hip hooray.
Yeah. Hip, hip, hooray!
Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Thank you.
And this was a concerted effort from a large member of the staff, right?
Exactly.
People
And
worked
thank
very hard on-
Kathleen and.
Community has very little idea of how much this means in terms of positive money savings and all of the other stuff. We hope they understand that this is very important.
It might be safe to say in the January meeting, this might be the best news of the year. I mean, and I,
It is, yeah, it's great news.
yeah,
This is like-
and our attorney is nodding, yeah, I mean, this cannot in any way be understated. This is huge. You touched on RCD. Anyone else who participated in the effort?
Well, Montera and SRT, actually, they provided some comments as well.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. This is
Balance Hydrologics put in,
Balance
on behalf of
Hydrologics.
Montera, worked on some comments.
great.
Great.
The county actually put in
Okay.
some comments, and Bosca helped with,
Good.
with
Once again,
Well, we're
thank you.
going.
comments.
Yeah,
Is it a reasonable suggestion to issue letters to these people who've helped us and thank them? I mean, is that just standard activity by the staff?
I think everyone's efforts benefited
Them.
themselves
Yeah,
as well. I mean,
they
everybody
done all
was,
this.
But the cooperation effort is
Well,
fantastic,
just-
isn't it?
Let's
When everybody
recognize that there
starts
was,
work- everybody
recognize that we
starts working together.
cooperated. This is good. No, that's just,
I mean,
I think everybody
We don't have this in
contributed,
the
but
letter,
I have
but we can say it.
to give most of the credit to Mary's
Right.
obsessive accounting of agricultural,
obsessive.
yeah, Mary, I was laughing at her. She was so obsessed with this crop map, but that's what, really
Who would have thought?
what did it.
Yeah.
She's,
Well, great. Yeah.
Well, and
she did it.
I think one of the things that we did too, which I'm not sure how many agencies do, but we actually picked up the phone and contacted DWR and worked with some of their
And you
staff, and
text
they
them?
loved it. They were very helpful to us, and they spent a lot of time with us. And in fact, they actually, the staff actually called me before we got the news, and they had everybody in the room who participated
Oh, wow.
and wanted to share
Cool.
the news, so.
Cooperative spirit, that's great, yeah.
Thank you for your.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for all that.
efforts. It's fantastic.
Good news.
I mean, it's great. In fact, it's the most exciting report I've ever really witnessed for you without PowerPoint. I mean, I'm surprised that there aren't some images. But in all sincerity, thank you so much for persevering and pressing and, just presenting the correct data. I mean, that's the issue, right?
Yes.
Getting the correct data in the hands of the people that have to use it to
That's
make
true.
a decision.
That's
It's a huge task.
Yeah.
And we talk about data all the time, but it's very difficult to collect and collate and coordinate and communicate about it. So, gosh, really, it's fantastic. And being president with receiving the report, I'll take full credit. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
I just want to echo what the board has said. I mean, this decision is huge. Working with other agencies who are involved in SGMA implementation.
Yeah.
Your thanks to your staff
Dodged the bullet.
is well-deserved because this is huge, a huge decision for this district.
Great.
Great job, Mary.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you. And now the winner of the tie award for the January, no.
Thank you. Evening, board members.
Yeah, thank you very much. Nice to see you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you all. It's nice to start with good news.
It is.
We got a lot done considering it was a holiday month. We placed a couple of large meters over at Kenyatta Cove and at the golf course. We've got about 20 1.5 and 2 meters changed out, so the distribution crew's been moving right along with that. We had the water treatment plant meter calibrations that are required annually completed. The 3 new trucks are here. They have stickers and the the radios and emergency lights on. John Davis really gets on top of those things. He made it all happen within one after the other. It was nice to watch him do that. Last month, we used all the supplies. We're currently off Crystal Springs, I'm happy to report. We're getting water from the Pilarcitos Lake. It's been filling up nicely. With some more rain at the correct rate, we should be on Denniston and also the Pilarcitos Wells and off the lake for a little bit. But it looks like we're getting lots of good water. Projects, CorePro came and installed the cathodic protection at EG3 and provided the annual service or the maintenance on the other tanks that have CP. 2 south of town is complete, happy to say. The Denniston contact clarifier repairs were completed and the plant started up on the 10th of December. I want to commend the treatment staff for their efforts and coordination with all the dynamics and figuring out what was wrong with the contact clarifiers and getting some quick repairs. And also like to mention that Princeton Welding really helped us out coming out here in a timely manner, and their staff did a very good job. PG&E is scheduled to set the Denniston transformer for the pump station.
Barring bankruptcy.
Yeah, that was my question.
On the 22nd, and I'm happy to say that's moving up. It's taken a while. And the notice to proceed was issued to Stolesky and Gonzalez for the 2-inch EG project, and they've already started. And then more good news, we had some really good successes at the treatment exam this last round. 2 people earned their T4s, 1 person earned their T3, and another person got their T2.
Who got the 4s?
Sean Donovan and Travis got their 4s.
Wow.
And Dustin got his 3, and our new operator Frank Lozano got his T2. So
Wow.
that was a nice round of testing. I'm really proud of them.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, I'm here at your pleasure.
That's awesome.
So every time I turn around, I find monster truck is following me. I swear.
Are you causing leaks?
Every time I look, this monster truck is sitting there
It's hard to miss.
doing something. No, it's funny.
We're using it a lot.
On Miramontes Point Road, you were up at the corner there doing some stuff and changing stuff at Kenyatta Cove. Every time I turn around, monster truck is right behind me. So I just thought you guys are following
having
me. I don't know
nightmares,
what
are you?
have to-
Better behave.
I better
They're watching
behave,
you.
I guess. I'm sorry. I guess it likes me. Maybe it's just a matter of, yeah. Sorry.
You're such a magnetic person.
Yeah, I'm such a magnetic personality.
Well, I, for one, would like to say that I'm absolutely thrilled to have a project that's been kicked down the road for, I don't know, 20 years. This South Highway 1 pipeline replacement project. It's so terrific to have that thing done. I mean, for so many years, we
Just
thought,
shoved
can
out.
we really
Yeah.
spend that much money
And we
to
did.
do that small project for so few people that, aren't they even actually outside the district?
they are.
They're actually outside the
Most of them.
district.
Right.
And, but knowing too that there are neighbors, right? And that we're, maybe their health is at risk, you
Right.
just don't know, right? But you keep looking at the money, but now we have a money coordinator, we have lots of money, I guess, and, but it got done in a bargain price, it got
Right.
done in a hurry, and it's done. It's just for me, it's health, safety, and welfare being put at the top of the district's priorities, and I feel that that's just a, compliment to staff and compliments to, I guess, EKI was really, helpful for us in this project, and it's just wonderful to have that worry off the board, it's just, wow, done. Fresh water, right? So
Yes.
congratulations.
Been great for the
Thank you.
staff, too.
Yeah, it's a little tough. And I'm really happy about EKI being here. They really are a good firm. So that was a nice decision. Thank you for your support.
And we'd also have to credit Andrini. Andrini is
Yeah.
has been such a great contractor for us. I mean, we have so much confidence in them. They're very fair. Nobody else could have done what they did. in the time that they did it.
Agreed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now, the report we've been waiting for. Maybe 1 month, we'll just have to shift Kathleen way up early.
You threatening to move me?
Don't you think so? Well, you know, I mean, we appreciate your patience.
No problem. I'll be very quick. You've seen this summary table before. I'm just giving you an update on grant reimbursements that we've received to date, so for the end of the calendar year 2018. So if you have any questions, I can answer them, but it's pretty straightforward.
Have you heard the most recent snow percentage?
No, I haven't.
how
I mean, I saw the DWR's snow survey, which at that point was like a little over 60%.
63, yeah. Right.
But I know since then we've gotten quite a few storms, so I'm assuming we're back up closer to
Do
normal.
we have the rain gauge, is it here on site?
Yeah, so we have a rain gauge here, those numbers are in your, the consent calendar, the rainfall. And then I also monitor the NOAA station here in
Okay,
Half
so
Moon
these
Bay.
numbers are from this site?
From Half Moon Bay,
Okay.
here.
So as of end of December, we have just about the same rainfall as there was at the end of December last year.
Yes, we're right.
4.75 inches, and we've already got 2 inches so far this week, I think.
So
So we
two more-
might meet last year's, if January keeps rolling like it's supposed to, so we're starting to get up the curve.
Last year,
15 and a
last
half.
water year, we had about half of normal rainfall,
Right,
and we're right on that track.
right, we're on half of normal. I mean,
So
we're
we
on
need-
track for last year, but that's not the normal year.
Right, and in the previous water year, we had about
31.
double, 180, around 180% of normal. And I look at the Montera gauge, which is online, and that's the balanced hydrologics gauge on Montera Mountain, which is representative of of the watersheds that are critical for us.
Right.
You know, more important to our fortunes than the snowpack is the local rainfall, and that
Right.
the effect of local rainfall on Pillarcitos Creek during our well pumping season and on
Lake.
the Denniston
Denniston Road,
watershed, right? So, but even in a year of half normal rainfall, we get pretty good yield out of Denniston. When we have 160, 180% of normal rainfall in Denniston, that's a really great year for us, and that's when we can keep running Denniston all year round.
If the turbidities cooperate.
Well, that's why we spent all the money on that.
Right.
new
And
plant.
we started the plant yesterday, a couple days ago, let's see, we shut it down over the weekend due to a power problem, and we restarted the plant after a rainfall at 35 turbidity units, which would have, in the past, would have been prohibited by a permit. So we are seeing the benefit that we were looking for when we did the upgrade.
Are we asking to go higher? How's that working?
That request is still pending. We've asked, yeah, we've asked, right now our permit says 50,
Yeah,
and we've asked to go to 100.
so it's still pending?
Yes,
Okay, so it's still a possibility?
still a possibility.
Yeah, we had 3 inches in Miramar over the weekend. This last rainstorm, we had 3 inches.
Wow.
It's not so scientific or anything, but that's what it is. So, director comments or agenda items, anybody? The only one I have is, I remember the good old days, when we used to have a bowl of hard candies on the little counter out there, and so I'd like to make a contribution, financial contribution to that, and just, does that actually need a vote of the board?
No.
Okay, you sure?
Jolly Ranchers. Yeah, I remember, now,
Do you
I
remember?
fondly remember the Jolly Ranchers, yeah, I must say, I do.
Yeah, I'd like to,
Watermelon and the apple. was
I'd
my
like to
favorite.
make a cash contribution.
We'll have it for the drug use. We don't keep it out on the counter due to safety with the kids. They
Oh, yeah, that's a good
have
point.
youngsters grabbing and we don't want to risk
Hey,
choking.
gotta bring your own.
I guess we have to put it high enough.
Hey, bring your own.
Oh, yeah, well, I could just share yours.
Yeah.
Okay, hearing no, hearing no other items, I wanted to thank you very much for the confidence in letting me be the leader of your meeting, so.
Well, based on the time that we're getting out of here, well, that confidence is.
No, but there was some kumbaya, we had some kumbaya tonight.
You did a good
So I'd
job.
like to adjourn the meeting.
You did a good job. I'll give you that.